Welcome back to Clickstart TV. So in today's episode, I want to talk about something that I know a lot of you are thinking about, and that is leaving your job to start a business. And more importantly, how to do it without blowing up your life in the process. Because here is the reality. 22% of new businesses fail in their first year, and nearly half are gone within 5 years. And the number one reason they fail is cash flow. Not bad ideas, not lack of passion, cash flow. They just run out of money. And you know what makes cash flow problems 10 times worse? Quitting your job before your business can support you. I've seen it happen over and over again. Someone gets excited, hands in their notice, and then 3 months later, they are panicking because the business is not making enough money yet. Now, most people think there are only two options: stay in your 9 to 5 forever or quit and go all in on a business. But there is a third option that nobody talks about, and it is exactly what I did, and I call it the sidestep. It is the smartest way I have ever seen anyone make this transition. So let me tell you about what I actually did, and then I'll break down the steps so you can do it too. So when I decided I wanted to start my own business, I did not just quit my corporate job and hope for the best. Instead, I did something that I think was one of the smartest moves I have ever made. I sidestepped out of corporate and got myself a contracting role where I was only working 3 days a week. And then that gave me a reliable income to cover my bills. But it also gave me 2 full days a week plus evenings and weekends to build my business on the side. And then I kept that contracting role going until my business was earning enough cash for me to actually live off. Only then I stepped away from contracting completely. So the transition was not one of the big scary leaps. It was 3 manageable steps: corporate to contracting, contracting plus business on the side, and then full-time business owner. Each step reduced the risk a little more, and each step gave me more time and more confidence. And by the time I went all in on my business, it was not a gamble. It was a calculated decision based on real numbers. And I think that is the part that most people get wrong. They think entrepreneurship has to be this dramatic moment where you throw your lanyard at the boss and storm out. It does not. The smartest entrepreneurs I know made the transition gradually, strategically, without putting themselves or their families at financial risk. So step 1 is obvious. You need to start that business if you haven't already. And then step 2 is sidestep out of your full-time role and into something more flexible. Now, this could look different for everyone. For me, it was contracting 3 days a week. For you, it might be going part-time in your current role. Or it might be moving into a casual position, or it might look like freelancing with your existing skill set. The point is to find a way to keep income coming in while freeing up your real time to build your business. And I want to be clear about why this works better than just building on the side while working full time. Yes, you can absolutely start a business in the evenings and on weekends while working 5 days a week. Look, most of my clients start out this way. But if you have ever tried it, you know how exhausting it can be. You are running on fumes. Your business gets your worst hours, and it can take longer to gain any traction. Now, when I dropped to 3 days a week of contracting, it was like someone turned the lights on. I suddenly had 2 full days a week dedicated to my business. Not tired evening hours or not rushed weekends or mornings. 2 proper full days where I could focus, think clearly, and actually build something. And that is when I started to notice things moving. Now, I know what you're thinking. I cannot afford to go from 5 days to 3 days pay. And look, I get it. That is a real concern. But here is how I look at it. You are trading short-term income for long-term freedom. And if you have been smart about step 1 and you know your business can make money, these 2 extra days are an investment, not a loss. Also, and this is a practical tip, contractors often get paid a higher hourly rate than full-time employees because you are not getting benefits like leave and super. So 3 days of contracting might not be as bad as what you think. Do the maths before you assume you cannot afford it. So step 3 is use your free days to actually build the business, not to think about building the business. not to do more research, not to take another course. Build it. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They sidestep into flexible work, which is great, but then they spend their free days consuming content and planning instead of executing. You do not need to know everything before you start. You just need to start and then you figure it out as you go. Things do not need to be perfect before you launch. Set up your store, source your products, run your first ads, get your first sale, talk to your first customer. These are the things that will actually move the needle. Everything else is just procrastination dressed up as preparation. Treat those days like business days, not days off. I used to wake up on my non-contracting days and I used to get dressed like I was going to work. I'd sit down at my desk by 8 o'clock in the morning and I'd work on my business until 5 p.m. Because if you treat it like a hobby, it will pay you like a hobby. Treat it like a business from day one. And always dedicate time in your business to income-producing activities. Now, we all get carried away or we all get caught up doing the things that we love to do in our businesses and avoiding the things that we don't like doing. I have a friend who loves creating content and she is amazing at it. But there are income-producing activities she could be doing that she isn't. She puts all of her energy into what feels comfortable, not what drives sales. And look, I get it. We all do that. But a good rule of thumb is spending a minimum of 1 day a week on income producing activities. So that could be cold calling leads, doing PR, setting up ads, building an email list and actually nurturing it. The stuff that brings money in the door, not just the stuff that fills your feed. Step 4, and this is the one that most people skip, and it is the one that matters the most. Do not quit your contracting role until your business is consistently hitting what I call your safety numbers. Your safety number is the minimum amount of money your business needs to make every month to cover your personal expenses. Not your dream income, not your goal income, your bare minimum survival income. Rent, food, bills, insurance, the basics. For most people, that is somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000 a month, depending on where you live and what your lifestyle looks like. I want your business to be hitting that number consistently for at least 3 months before you even think about dropping the contracting role. So why 3 months? Because 1 good month can be just a fluke and 2 good months can be a trend. 3 good months starts to look like a real business. And when you have 3 months of evidence that your business can support you, the decision to go full-time is not scary anymore. It is logical. This is exactly what I did. I did not leave my contracting role on a whim. I left it when my business was consistently making enough money for me to live off. And because I have that evidence, the transition felt more natural. It was not a leap of faith. It was a step I had already earned. Now, step 5, even when your business is hitting your safety number, have a financial buffer sitting in a separate bank account. My recommendation is 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up that you do not touch unless it's an emergency. If your monthly expenses are $5,000, that means you want 15 to 30 grand sitting in another account. Because in the early days of running a business full-time, unexpected things can happen. A supplier could increase their prices, an ad campaign tanks, you might have a quiet month that'll come out of nowhere. And if you have 0 savings and your business has had 1 bad month, you are making desperate decisions instead of smart ones. And I've been there. That buffer buys you peace of mind, and peace of mind is everything when you are running a business. The decisions you make when you are calm and confident are completely different from the decisions you make when you are panicking about money. So there it is, the Sidestep Method. Get clear on your business and sidestep into flexible work like contracting or part-time work. Use your free days to build your business properly and hit your safety numbers for 3 months. Build a financial buffer. It is not one dramatic leap. It is 3 manageable steps. Corporate to contracting, contracting plus business, then full-time business owner. Each step reduces the risk, and by the time you go all in, you already know it works because you have the proof. And look, I know the internet is full of people who just tell you just to quit and figure it all out, but I have been doing this for a long time. And I have seen thousands of people make this transition. And the ones who plan it properly and sidestep their way almost always succeed. The ones who quit on emotion are usually back in their 9 to 5 within 6 months. So if you have enjoyed today's episode, I would love it if you could subscribe to our channel below to keep up to date. Or feel free to share this video with someone who needs to hear this. See you back here in the next couple of weeks.